Ever since his infamous Christmas crash out, this one man has left the American public with one very important question. Does everyone here, whether in Washington, academia, or even the very borders of our country, have good intentions? See, because Vivek Ramaswamy is more than just our favorite big four-headed H-1B crusader. Vivek represents a growing ideology in demographics, a dark collection of interests, and some of the darkest aspects of Washington's inner workings. In a time of growing America First voices like that of a Nick Fuentes, a Tucker Carlson, and a Kasparian or an Amy Dangerfield, and really yours truly, it's easy to think we've made it out of the 2010s era of societal collapse in both standards and practices, but Vivek reminds us of a grim and ever-present looming threat on the horizon and begs a bigger question about American life. Can you really scam your way to Washington? Folks, welcome back to The Narrative with me, your host, Will Sexton, the host with the most and the most samosas. Folks, Vivek Ramaswamy is back in the news. God, it's a gift every time he is. I don't think Vivek Ramaswamy's ever been in the news for anything positive. I've never seen him enter into the news cycle, lauding him or praising him for anything he's done. It's seemingly always negative and always related to how much he vehemently hates Americans and the American people. This short speech clip went around the other day, posted from his own X account. I don't know why he would post it. I mean, hey, at least we know the guy isn't paying a PR team. This is his real, authentic phone, because only a singular person with absolutely no professional insight would post something this egregiously bad. Let's take a look at the clip real quick.
Hardship is something that happens to you. Victimhood is a choice. Because in the end, the number one factor that determines whether you achieve your goal in life, I didn't say the only factor, but I said the number one factor that determines whether you achieve your goals in life is actually you. It isn't the patriarchy. It isn't the Jews. It isn't the Muslims. It isn't the billionaires. It isn't the foreigners. It isn't the white people. It isn't the black people. It's time for us to be done with victimhood culture in this country. We don't whine, we win. We're not victims, we're victors. That is who we are as Ohioans. That is who we are as Americans. We are built on the unapologetic pursuit of success. Individual success, your family's economic success, your kids' educational success, America's civic success.
I didn't realize they speak French in India now. I mean, he's saying we. I'm sorry, who's we? Everything about this guy is so disgusting. I can't fully wrap my head around the fact that he's allowed to exist. And honestly, in making this video, diving into him more, it only gets worse. I mean, his words alone are so annoying. Like, you can tell he's trying to do this Obama thing. Hey guys, well, hello white America. I'm here to be the unifying rational actor. Like, dude, shut up. But second, I find it funny. We need to get away from victimhood culture. But when India is demanding reparations from the UK for, I don't know, showing them the wonders of electricity, now that's fine. When he's in Tel Aviv, that's fine. That victimhood is fine. But your victimhood, because you can't get a job because all the jobs are ghost listings or they're being given to like actual slave labor, that's victimhood. You got to let that go. Now, you may be in agreement with me about how absolutely infuriating it is to hear from Vivek Ramaswamy and hear his words regarding the American public. But what if I told you it only gets worse? And this guy's not part of the American public and was never part of the American public, because this is a man who comes from the most elite of society and is being propped up by the most elite of society. See, it's easy to hate on Ramaswamy, whether it be because of his name or his words or his appearance. It's very easy. But why did he seemingly come out of nowhere and now he's being sicked upon Ohio, sicked upon one of our best heartland states, cast upon them by the Trump administration like a plague. Where did this guy come from? Who is he? Well, those are questions I'd like to answer today, because you might remember his Christmas crash out. You might remember when he went on and on and on, basically slowly revealing how much he hates the American people and hates the American worker and loves his own. You know, for a man who claims to be all about individualism, he seems to really love his own. Only hiring those who look like him, speaking to those who look like him, marrying someone who looks like him, following his people's religion. This is not really a guy who seems to be interested in joining us. It says we, but doesn't seem like he really embodies that. So if he's not part of our we, what we is he referring to? Well, that's what I would like to explain to you today. But before I get into all that, be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell to get notified every time I make a new post. Be sure to subscribe to the second channel. More on that later. Now, folks, let's jump in to the truly hidden history of everyone's favorite Hindu Hellboy. Now, Vivek Ramaswamy was born to a Tamil Brahmin family from India. For those who aren't familiar with the subcontinent, first, congratulations, I envy you. Second, that's a lofty family. So that's the south of India. That's like the loftiest you can be in the south of India. He did not come from a poor family. His father, a high-ranking corporate attorney. His mother, a doctor, specifically in geriatric care. Now, he is an American citizen by virtue of birthright. His mother was coincidentally visiting the United States while 9 months pregnant and just happened to accidentally give birth to Vivek Ramaswamy on American soil and then just stayed behind. I mean, it was all so unexpected. What is she going to do? Travel with a newborn? I mean, no one could have seen this coming, right? And by the way, his father never sought out citizenship. Like, his father's just living here undocumented. Isn't that crazy? Like, he's just openly said that his father does not have American citizenship. He just like lives here. But more on that later. Now, utilizing his family's wealth and ethnic connections, he managed to land himself a role in Harvard College. Graduates in 2007 with a biology degree and then very quickly joins at QVT Financial, a hedge fund. Now, this one is interesting. I can't seem to find a ton of information on how exactly he went from a biology degree to a hedge fund, but what I do know is that QVT Financial has a huge section where they manage biotech investments. That's where he worked, and he was put on by one Daniel Allen Gold. I'll put a photo for reference here. Oh, man. Off the bat, he has many connections with Gold's community, if you will. Big investments in Israel and Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, constantly visiting Israel. I mean, this is a guy who is very, very friendly with the state of Israel, and it seems to be by virtue of Daniel Allen Gold. Daniel Allen Gold himself having gone to Harvard, so there's probably some kind of connection there. Now, he does well for himself on Wall Street, but decides he needs to do more. And so this is where he leaves Wall Street and decides to enter into a fascinating and fascinatingly sketchy place that really I would love to do a full video on. So please let me know down below if you'd like to see that, because it is truly a place of intrigue, interest that has been so rarely covered. See, because at this time, Vivek Ramaswamy decides to drop everything he's doing and enter into Yale Law. Now, Yale Law is the shadiest of shady. I mean, anybody who knows anything about American politics knows that that's basically where they recruit all the main players. J.D. Vance went there. This is where he met Peter Thiel, and Vivek Ramaswamy went there. Actually, he was J.D. Vance's roommate at Yale Law School. And the both of them got up to all sorts of shady activities, meeting with Peter Thiel, meeting with George Soros. Vivek himself actually received almost $50,000 paying for a bunch of his schooling directly from George Soros. Like, George Soros gave him the money. Something that critics have said is pretty ironic and also kind of shady. He claims that he needed the money, yet his family's very wealthy, and let me note, he didn't stop working on Wall Street while this was going on. He was still working on Wall Street, managing investments while attending Yale Law. For those who don't know any William lore, I actually attended one semester at law school. I failed out, but that doesn't mean that everybody would fail out. I'm just not particularly a good student. But I will say that law school is a huge time commitment. How somebody could have time to be at Yale Law, but also be working on Wall Street is beyond me. But hey, maybe that's the work ethic that he was crashing out about. Maybe I don't have that as an American man. I should be more like Vivek here. Maybe something deeper is going on, which further research shows that yes, something deeper is going on. In 2010, Ramaswamy begins attending meetings of infamous Shabtai Society. Now, I want to do a whole video on the Shabtai Society. It would have to be like a Friday primetime video. I mean, this is a big deal that I think people really haven't touched upon yet, because information about it, the presence of it, would indict so many of our political figures. I mean, the Shabtai Society is wildly powerful, wildly influential, and it's located in Yale Law. See, the Shabtai Society is an independent Jewish intellectual society. Founded in 1996, its figures have included dozens of politicians both in America, Israel, the EU. It emphasizes open debate, Torah and Talmud study, and very specifically meets for Shabbat dinners. No cell phones allowed, something that Vivek began attending as the first Hindu, might I add. Very impressive stuff. Good job, Vivek. Yes, Vivek begins attending the Shabbat dinners, which as a Hindu, so a Gentile, we can only assume what he was doing at these Shabbat dinners, which, might I add, were hosted and funded by Israeli-American tech billionaire Benny Shabtai. Do I need to spell it out for you at home? It's a puppet factory. It's a puppet factory. I've said it before that at CPAC, they used to host Shabbat dinners and politicians would fall over themselves to go in order to do things like open doors, all the things that Gentiles can do during Shabbat. You might have heard there's a term for this. It's very clear that this is a puppet factory, that they bring people in and say, hey, are you going to do our bidding? Are you going to do work for us? And so it makes sense that he would go, same place he met Peter Thiel, same place he starts getting involved in this whole like new growing shady interest. He's at the Shabtai Society dinners on Shabbat, rubbing shoulders with some of the biggest Israeli and just general like Orthodox religious Jewish, wealth in the country. Supposedly Ramaswamy quickly became one of its most important Gentile members like ever, attending nearly every Shabbat dinner. He's gone on record calling Rabbi Shmuley Hecht, who's the co-founder alongside Benny Shabtai, one of his closest friends alive. And following his graduation from Yale Law School, this connection has still existed. He still to this day hosts Shabtai dinners at his own house. And in 2019, he hosted a kickoff that helped expand Shabtai to both Los Angeles and Tel Aviv. All of this, might I add, was reportedly paid to be removed from his Wikipedia profile in 2023, around the time he began to have his first candidate run. A presidential run that, by the way, we know was a surrogate run. For those who don't know politics, many times there are political actors who want to be involved in the cabinet or in an incoming government, and so they'll run for office knowing that they're not going to win. It's very clear Vivek had no intention of actually winning and becoming president. He just wanted to lock himself into the Trump administration. And it's kind of like, it's tradition, basically, for those who ran to be given cabinet spots or really important government spots. Something which he was set up to do. He was supposed to be a very important part of Doge, but obviously that got shot down following his Christmas crash out and the large-scale rejection that he faced by all of MAGA. I'll give the MAGA shills credit for once. They were very quick to be like, yeah, no, we don't like Vivek. So I'll give them credit. But see, one of his biggest controversies comes actually after his time at Yale Law, directly after his time at Yale Law, arguably where everybody kind of cites him as being the most shady. I'm speaking, of course, about his time at Roivant Sciences. Now, in 2014, he founded Roivant Sciences. Supposedly in Bermuda, I guess they have a very thriving biotech community there. In Bermuda, it doesn't seem like it's a tax haven or anything like that. Basically, what they do, it's like speculative drug pricing. So what he was looking to do was buy stalled drug candidates in big pharma. So like something that's stuck in testing that isn't being rolled out. He wanted to buy them and split them into subsidiaries. This is something called a VANT, and then attempt to advance them with a network of doctors and whatever. Basically like rushing their approval, rushing their ability to get out to market, and then he's able to like make a profit on the fact that he bought it for very cheap, because you can buy the patent to one of these very, very cheaply. Now, what's interesting, the reason you haven't heard of this business model is because nearly 99% of these things fail, especially in his chosen field of interest, Alzheimer's. And so when he did this, some people said, wow, that seems like a really risky investment. I mean, 99% fail rate, especially in Alzheimer's, which he's specifically dedicating himself to. It has huge upside potential if he was to be part of that less than 1%. But what are the chances? How could that possibly happen? Well, he goes and acquires a very little known potential Alzheimer's medication called intepridine for $5 million from GlaxoSmithKline. This is a drug that has failed most of its testing stages and was found to be not really effective at treating Alzheimer's. But wouldn't you know it, they bring on a specialist in this field, a specialist who knows the ins and outs of Alzheimer's, a geriatric specialist, a geriatric doctor. Geriatric doctor, where have we heard that before in this video? Oh yeah, his mom. He hires his mom as like the chief expert, has her run some tests on not even 700 subjects. Gets just enough to say, yeah, no, we can advance this to market. Then all of a sudden, this drug that he bought for $5 million, which again, it was $5 million because it wasn't that valuable. Well, now, with this doctor's certificate saying that, actually magically we discovered this is a miracle drug, it shoots in value all the way up to $3 billion. And might I add, she came out of retirement to do this. So she was retired from the geriatric medicine field. She was living her life as a retired mother and then magically came out of retirement for just this. After getting all of this money in 2017, it went to a final trial and failed miserably, causing the stock to crash 75%. But luckily enough, Ramaswamy, being the keen businessman that he was, happened to sell off all of his shares alongside his mom and his brother. Everybody else lost tons and tons of money, but those three managed to get out. Luckily, I mean, God, what an incredible mind for business. See what happened? It was a pump and dump scheme. He made a bunch of money he made his wealth, the wealth that he then used in politics, off of a pump and dump scheme. The guy is a scammer to the highest degree. He is a scammer who literally made all of this money off a pump and dump scheme and then has been utilizing it to advance the positions and interests of the Shabtai Society. And of course, after doing all of this, when he manages to run a political campaign and then get involved in the White House, where does he get funneled to other than Doge? And thus begins his tenure in the White House, which kind of leads us to today. But what is Vivek up to these days? What did he do with Doge? I mean, all of that sounds crazy, sketchy, very sort of like dual connected. I mean, very strange, but what does that mean today? I mean, he's still a government actor, so what is he up to today? Well, that takes us to the heart of the issue. A three-way connection that really poses a great threat to the American public. What I like to call Thiel, Israel, and Modi. See, now after Yale Law School, his connections from the Shabtai Society, from Yale Law, only grew over time. Remember those companies I told you about? The whole pump and dump scam thing? Well, he had two other companies alongside that, a company called Chapter, a Medicare startup, and Strive Asset Management. This is an asset manager. Peter Thiel invested in both of those to the tune of $1.5 billion. We can't actually know publicly who was involved in the whole pump and dump scheme thing, but we can assume that Thiel probably played a role in that in some capacity, judging by his other investments into Vivek's ongoings. If you watched my other video on this whole connection, you'd know that there's a very clear interest here. See, obviously Vivek has showed himself to be on the team. He's on the plantation, okay? He's willing to do what it takes. He's shown that he's willing to play ball and do what they tell him to do. But what's also very notable about him is the fact that he is, like I said, Tamil high caste from sort of a lofty part of Indian society. He himself has met with Prime Minister Narendra Modi several times, both before and after his foray into politics. Like, to say that he knows Narendra Modi, like, well, is not that crazy to assume. And now, at the middle of all this, they're placing him into Ohio. They're trying to get him to be governor of Ohio, again, where Les Wexner is, where all of this Thiel investment is, Andrew. I mean, I did a whole video on this, okay? Go watch that if you don't know what I'm talking about. I try not to make this a serialized thing, but I mean, come on, this stuff builds on itself. Do I have to spell out to people what's happening here? This is the H-1B guy. Like, Vivek's whole thing is he wants more H-1B. He wants more workers from India. Of course he does. He is a Tamil high caste who very clearly is being sent to Ohio by all of these wealthiest people to oversee the importation of this ever politically theorized underclass, this slave class, indentured servitude class that exploits foreign labor for cheap production so that they can utilize that in their ideal technocratic aristocracy. I've said it before. These people want an aristocracy. They want a new structure to our society that explicitly doesn't include you. In their ideal world, it would be Thiel, Benny Shabtai, Les Wexner, all these people living above the clouds, maybe even living on Mars, while the rest of us live in favelas. Favelas with no borders, worked for the cheapest amount possible. A slave class, lorded over, obedient and just grateful to be around. This is his role. They want him as governor in Ohio to sign these things. As governor, he would be allowed to bring in more foreign workers, something that he has made it very clear he wishes to do. And please fact check me on this. I'm saying all of this from completely provable sources. None of this is assumptive or conspiratorial. I can only imagine what you could conspire from this. This is classic financier class politics. It is classic elite politics. I mean, this is a big, big club. Literally a club. They have the Shabtai Society at Yale Law that is quickly coalescing itself around politics, attempting to take over in the post-Trump era. I've said it before, we are entering a new era, really, of America, let alone American politics, wherein we are the most diverse we've ever been. The AI revolution is in its earliest stages. The world is beginning to shift into this multipolar space, and a new elite is being formed. The elite of old is quickly falling away in favor of the AI elite, in the favor of these new magnates. Except rather than having like Henry Fords and Rockefellers who want to better the lives of Americans and see themselves as Americans, we get Alex Karp, a guy who wants to like send a drone to your house at all times and wants to stalk his enemies via AI. So that's the Gilded Age we're going to get. All of the horrific living conditions of the Gilded Age without any of the at least attempted patriotism. So with all that being said, I need all of us to remember this because the Republican Party, this is where they are coalescing. They are coalescing around the Republican Party. I've said this before. This is why now more than ever, coalition of the American public is needed because left or right, black or white, a time is soon approaching where all that will matter is have or have not. And that line will not be drawn on conventional lines or historic lines or even modern class lines. No, it will be drawn on interest lines. The lines being, are you down with Benny Shabtai? Are you down with Les Wexner? Are you down with the state of Israel? Are you on their team or are you on our team? And that's a decision that gets made for you before you're even born. Folks, I care about freedom. I care about liberty. My forefathers died to ensure the liberty of our Constitution, the liberty of our country, a liberty that is infringed upon in the face of supremacy, of nepotism, and most importantly, of scammers like Vivek. But folks, that is going to do it for us today on this episode of The Narrative. I hope that you enjoyed. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell. I mean, all that. Be sure to follow my second channel. I've launched a second channel where I'm posting my stream clips a la, I don't know, a Hassan Piker and Asmongold maybe. More fun, more casual, just kind of talking about politics in a more like, as it's breaking kind of way. It's a lot of fun. Please feel free to check it out. Also, if you would like, check out the streams themselves. Very fun, very interactive, just kind of breaking moment type stuff. As always, be sure to follow me on my other platforms, Kick, Rumble. I mean, hey, you never know. And folks, with all that being said, as I always say to you at home, God bless you and God bless America. Stay safe out there, folks.